Okay, welcome so far. Today we've acted several parts of 12 Angry Men. A little bit of review. First off, we've learned several things about the characters so far. We learned that 10 is a bigot. He's a hater, particularly of people who live in the slum. He makes several enemies. He really ticks off the foreman. He especially ticks off juror number 5 and pretty much a lot of other people. We also know that 9 is a little unsure about his vote. He was the last one to raise his hand for guilty for the first vote. And later, 9 also says that he's willing to give everyone a chance to talk about it. He's willing to give 8 a moment to kind of like really have everybody consider the case thoughtfully before they all send the boy off to die. Then we have 8 pull a really crazy trick. He asks to see the knife that was very unusual, had an ornate carving which everyone swore was unique. He actually found an identical knife in the boy's neighborhood. And this was quite thrilling and interesting to a lot of the other jurors. After that, the point was raised, would it be reasonable that the defendant, the boy, would show his knife to a bunch of friends right before he would use that same knife to kill his father? That is where 5, after he gets an argument with 10, he claims that he's not so sure the boy would do that. It's not kind of a thing that would be reasonable, showing that he is starting to turn a little bit as well. 8 then takes another vote. Although he abstains from it, he stays out of the vote and says, hey, if everybody else votes guilty still, he'll go along with it. However, this is a secret ballot vote, and sure enough, there was one more vote for not guilty, bringing it up to 2. So, everybody points the finger, especially 3 points the finger at 5, but it turns out that 9, the old guy, was the one who changed his vote. So that's a little bit of summary of what we've done so far. Now let's talk about what we're going to be doing today in class, or tomorrow in class. You have 3 essay prompts you get to choose. You're going to be writing one essay from those 3 prompts. And that essay is going to be your typical classic 5-paragraph literary essay. You'll be writing several of these for high school English class, so we might as well make sure we have it down. There's 5 standards I'm going to be judging you on this essay. Let's briefly talk about them. First thing I'm going to be assessing you on is Mla Format. You've already had a little practice with this with your narratives, so that should be no problemo. Next off, that it's well edited. Duh. Next one, that you have an awesome thesis and topic sentences. We're going to be spending a little time going over what those look like, especially for those 3 essay questions. But it's really important that this essay has a strong structure of thesis and topic sentences. Next up, that you have an excellent introduction paragraph and conclusion paragraph. We'll be talking about what goes in those kinds of paragraphs as well for this kind of expository essay. And finally, how to pick awesome quotes. That is going to be the most important part of tomorrow's class. You need to pick an essay topic, and then it's your job to be looking for quotes that will really support what you're trying to say with this essay topic. So we're going to begin hunting for some really good quotes that we can later use. So stay tuned. Now I'll give you the 3 essay questions tomorrow. Actually, I'll give you a little brief show of what they are today. But just know that's a 5-paragraph essay. We'll be talking about that structure in class over the coming days. There will be future videos on what goes in those paragraphs. And here are the 5 things that you are going to be graded upon. And now let's talk about those 3 paragraphs, or those 3 essay topics. Okay, here are basically the 3 kinds of essay questions. You're going to be choosing one of them. And this is going to be the question that you're going to be working with while we read the play 12 Angry Men. So the first question is our trial by jury system fair, according to what happens in 12 Angry Men? Now you might already have an opinion or not, whether the unanimous verdict thing, when you have 12 people decide on the same verdict, if you think that's fair or not, because we actually had a little bit of an in-class experience with that, and some of you might have thought that peer pressure or something might have gotten in the way. We're going to see some similar things play out with 12 Angry Men, so your job for this first topic is to judge, is our jury system fair in that you have to have 12 people unanimously come up with a verdict, according to what you've seen in 12 Angry Men. Second one, the jurors and their motivations. All these jurors have some kind of bias or something that's driving them. One of the most obvious ones is the angry father. We know that he hates kids, and that pretty much influences a lot of his decision-making processes. A lot of these other jurors, we'll find out, have also some very strict motivations. Don't forget about 10, the bigot. So what you would be doing would be picking 3 jurors and kind of exploring their motivations for why they vote the way they do and why they change their votes later on if they change their votes. And third, conflict types. For this one, you're going to be picking 3 types of conflict. Remember, you got person versus person, person versus self, person versus technology or nature, and what's the last one? Trojan. Person versus self, person. And of course, the big one, person versus group or society. That is our overall conflict, person versus group or society, because of course you have 8 versus the group. He's the only one voting not guilty. And with the inciting incident, when that first vote came, we see that that's the big conflict of the story. So, you're going to be picking one of these 3 kind of essay topics to go with, and that's what you're going to be researching as we go through this play. Have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to be kind of going over what we've already acted, a little bit more in depth, and looking for quotes.